Hello, this is a short video about how to do the Exploring Parallel and Perpendicular Lines assignment that is in your week 14 folder. It's called the Parallel and Perpendicular Lines Investigation, actually. And I already opened up the Sketchpad file. Remember that to open up Sketchpad, Geometry Sketchpad files, you have to be logged into the Minnows virtual desktop. If you get a thing that says you can't open this or you don't have the right program, then it's because you forgot to log into the Minnows virtual desktop first, using that Citrix receiver thing. All right, so now that I'm ready to go, I've got the file open. There is some constructed lines here, and then there's some questions down here. It says that lines A, B, and CD have been constructed in a special way. And click on one of the points and move it around and watch what happens. So I did A already. I moved A. Okay. I can try it with C. Oh, C moves, when I move C, it moves this line up and down. When I move B, what happens? It swings it around. And when I move D, oh, D only moves along that line. All right, so no matter what I did, no matter how I moved them, something is true about these lines. They always stay the same distance apart from each other. They always stay going in the same direction, same slope as each other. It says, what do we call the two lines that never intersect? Now up here, it displays the slope. Now this is in decimal form instead of fraction. Sketchpad prefers decimals. But you can see that as I move B, and change the slope of one of the lines, the slope of the other line also changes. And watch what happens to the slopes. Okay, so I'm going to scroll down a little bit so that I can read this question. If two lines are parallel, what is true about their slopes? So you can answer that question. And then there's little page tabs down here, so that we're going to go to page 2 next. And now we're going to explore these lines that are created in a special way. And it says click on one of the points E, F, G, or H and move it around watching what happens. And then you're going to answer the questions. I'm going to move that over just a little bit so we can see what happens to E. Okay, I see. There's another point at the, there it is. There's a point I at the intersection of the two lines. Okay, now we're going to look at the slopes up here, and again, they're in decimal form, which is a little bit hard to interpret. Let's see, where are we at? Okay, I hope the barking dog has stopped. So I'm going to look at these slopes, and it's hard to tell how they're related to each other. So one thing that you can do is to show the product of the slopes, and that multiplies those two numbers together, the negative 0.64 and the 1.56, and we see that they equal -1. So that's interesting. I'm going to change the lines and see what happens if I change the slopes. Now the slopes are different, but when I multiply them, I still get -1. And again, so that's interesting. So you can answer the rest of the questions there, and then go to page 3. Now on page 3, it says slopes of perpendicular lines are often described as being negative reciprocals, or sometimes opposite reciprocals. It's easiest to understand if your slope is written as a fraction. To find the negative reciprocal, you flip the top and bottom of the fraction and change the sign. Now these slopes actually are negative reciprocals. It's just hard to see that when they're written in this form. See if I can change my slopes so that they'd be easier to. There, -1 and 1. Those are opposite reciprocals, because if you flip -1 over 1, you would get -1 over 1, but then you also have to take the opposite sign. Let's do like 0.5. I'm almost there. Ooh, I don't know if I can get to 0.5. There, okay. So one of our slopes is -2, and one of our slopes is 1/2, which is what 0.5 is written as a fraction. And if I flip 1/2, I would get 2, but then you also have to take the opposite sign. So these are opposite reciprocals, or negative reciprocals, meaning you just flip the numerator and the denominator and take the opposite sign. And if I multiply these together, I get -1. So when you do this page, you're going to be answering some questions. If it's perpendicular, you flip the fraction and take the opposite sign. All right, that's it. Sorry about the barking dog. Have a wonderful day. Let me know if you have any questions.